For today's devotion, I'd like us to think about the culture in which we live, here in the UK, where, although most people don't go to church, many still claim to be spiritual. They wouldn't identify personally with any particular faith group or religion, but they are open to the idea that there are things that perhaps science can't explain. And that can be a good thing, because it means that as long as Christians don't try and force their beliefs or traditions on others, they're much more open to conversations about spiritual things than we often realize they are. However, around this time of year, with all of the hype surrounding Halloween, there is a downside to this openness. As TV and storefronts and trick-or-treaters all obsess over ghosts and witches and all manner of supernatural beings, there is a growing fascination with whether there is a spiritual reality behind our spooky stories or spooky characters. Since conventionally accepted religious practices have been shunned and perhaps stigmatized in our society, many people are experimenting with practices that churches have historically discouraged. Fortune tellers and tarot cards have become appealing to many people. Ouija boards are sold in public, and witchcraft has become a widely accepted traditional religion, often thought to be related to paganism. That's a modern phenomenon in the culture in which we live. However, Christians who take the Bible and the life and the teaching of Jesus seriously can't avoid the reality that these occult practices are deemed inherently evil in the Bible, and we are commanded to avoid them. Ours is not the first pluralist society where people are often open to things like divination and witchcraft. Even in Old Testament times, God had to keep reminding the Israelites not to adopt these practices. In the Old Testament book of Deuteronomy, which was written to summarize the first 5 books of the Bible, it's a summary of the first 4 really, essentially, we read these rather direct words. When you enter the land the Lord your God has given you, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or their daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or a spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Now that's some pretty strong wording. The word detestable is used 3 times just in those few verses. But why is it detestable to God when people seek to commune with the spirits of the dead or seek advice about their future from a fortune teller? Well, simply put, it's because we were created to commune with and revere God, seeking His will for our lives and our futures, and not the will of any other spiritual entity. When we engage in occult practices, we are forfeiting our relationship with God and ignoring His many instructions in favor of guidance that we seek from other spiritual sources. The Bible is clear from beginning to end that these practices are linked to evil spirits, not to the Holy Spirit of God. As Christians, we can certainly engage and be friendly with people who believe different things to us, but that does not mean we should get involved in their religious practices. Going to a Halloween party is very, very different from going to a seance, using a Ouija board, or consulting a spiritualist or a fortune teller. Yesterday, we looked at why some Christians may feel led to celebrate Halloween with others. But today, I just want to be clear that there is no justification for Christians participating in occult rituals of any kind. They are a rejection of God and His will. They are a trusting of spirits other than the Holy Spirit. And they are a seeking of guidance from sources that God considers to be rivals to His cause. Maybe you've dabbled in the occult before without realizing how serious an affront to God that is. If so, why not take some time today to confess that to God and to ask for His forgiveness and to renounce all rivals to His rule in your life? Or maybe somebody that you know, maybe a family member or a friend who you love, is heavily involved in spiritualism or fortune telling. Keep loving them, keep being there for them, keep praying for them, but just don't open yourself up to participating in practices that God has forbidden. Satan is not a fairy tale like we so often treat him today, and you do not want to allow the influence of his evil spirits in your life. So here's the deal. Dressing up as a ghost? That's probably not that big an issue. Trying to talk to a ghost? That's a very different matter entirely. Hanging out with people who aren't Christians is a fine thing to do, but attending a seance is crossing a line that Christians should never cross. I'm praying for you to engage with people this Halloween whilst maintaining healthy boundaries that protect your relationship with God. As always, you'll find a link below to a song that I've chosen for you to reflect on today. God bless you, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.